I've experienced a tiny surface there, okay? Like the creme de la creme of the creme brulee or whatever. I've experienced like a slither, a slice, a teeny inch of this stuff. But I've learned and experienced enough now to know that. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to today's video. It is currently the 31st of December, so the last day of 2022. And yeah, when you watch this video, it will be 2023. So I'll see you guys like in a strange way in the new year. But yeah, I wanted to sit down and have like a really kind of deep, we could say, I don't know how deep we're gonna get in this video, but I wanted to have a heart-to-heart to finish off the year and talk about everything I've learnt about relationships. And I'm not just talking romantic relationships. Yes, I will talk about that, as well as like other relationships, you know, like the relationship I have with my mum and my dad, my parents, my sister, the people I work with technically, and just talk about what 2022 has taught me about all of these, because I really have learnt so much about a lot of them, and I just feel like it was a great time to share this and reflect. I really hope you guys do enjoy this video. As usual, definitely like it if you do, comment down below and subscribe if you are new and want to stick around in the new year. I just need to like put myself up on this seat. I feel a bit this is also annoying me. I have my little notebook where I make like lots of my little notes, and yeah, I just thought we would start with, I think we're gonna start with the relationship I have with my parents. One of my Vlogmas episodes this year for holidays was actually a Q&A with my mom. I like basically sat down and asked mom loads of questions that I wanted the answers to, and I thought you guys would be interested in hearing them as well. So you can watch that video and you may know from that and in general that we are really kind of close, myself and my mom. But the first thing I do want to say about like my relationship with my parents is that obviously I love my parents and I am so incredibly grateful for them, to have them in my life. I do love them, even though sometimes it may not come across that way just because of the nature of who I am and the fact that I like shut myself in my room a lot of the time. But because I've done so much traveling this year and I have been away quite a lot, I have definitely realized that, you know, I just feel like I'm a nicer, we could say, daughter, or I don't know, there's just something about me that I think is nicer when I'm away traveling and then I come home, just because I love traveling and I love having like my own freedom and my own independence. And when I haven't seen my parents in a while, it's just so nice to then come home. I just don't make the effort when I'm at home to spend like quality time with them, but when I'm traveling I'm like, oh my gosh, I really want to phone mom and speak to her and catch up. But I don't do that, like properly catch up, when I'm at home, just because I'm always living at home. And this is definitely all part of that natural progression as children, as it were, like grow up, they eventually start to crave like more independence and more freedom, more space of their own. And so that's why next year, as you guys will find out like very soon, that I am changing things up a bit. I'm starting and embarking on a whole new big chapter in my life that I'm so excited about. I am so independent at home, don't get me wrong, but it's just like, I don't know, there's something still missing. But the second thing basically is, I would say, more so relevant for my relationship with mom, not really dad. We literally talk about anything now, like literally anything, okay? And I'm hinting at the more taboo, awkward stuff, we could say. And what I've realized is that talking about that stuff with your parents, yes, is going to be awkward at first, and it might always be slightly awkward, but once you break that ice and you kind of like cross that boundary, it becomes so much less awkward. Does that make sense? So much less awkward. Is that correct English? I think it is. It means that you can just have very open conversations, because I think you should with your parents. I mean, you might not be very close with them and you might be fine with that, but I am very close with my parents, and as I said, I don't really talk about this stuff with my dad, but with mom, like, I just like to be able to share that now. As I said, it kind of will always be slightly awkward, at least going into those conversations, but you know, we're all human, we all experience this stuff. Yes, it's a bit more taboo and like, do we want to talk about this? But why not? Like, why not open up about that stuff? And as I said, you just have to kind of like break the ice if you want to have those conversations. Like, if you don't and you want to keep it to yourself, that's fine, okay? I'm not saying you have to tell them everything, but in my kind of household, we all share a lot, and I realized that if we're gonna go there, we may as well share the full story, you know? Now the next one is probably friendships, and I did make a whole video again in my Vlogmas series this year for holidays about like friendships, but I do have some like key things I've learned about friendships this year for sure, because I've made like new friendships, and my friendships with like my closest of friends have only been strengthened, I would definitely say, this year. I've just been so appreciative of those people I have in my life alongside like my family, who mean like the world to me. And then yeah, I have incredible friends and I'm so incredibly grateful. But I feel like one of the amazing things I've definitely maybe realized this year, I guess, about friendships is that they are so incredibly diverse, and your relationship or friendship with one person might be very different to your friendship with another, and that means that you can, you know, do different things with your different friends. And one of the main things for me about a close friendship is that I can talk about anything with any of those people. Like, I will feel comfortable opening up about literally anything. I can confide in them, I can trust them, they have my back, they can give me advice, I can give them advice, we can listen to each other, bounce off each other. I've needed a lot of advice myself this year, and I've found that through talking to loads of my friends. The last thing on the friendship front then is to basically say that like age really does not matter in friendships. And I feel like when you're in school, friendships don't usually transcend, I don't know, year groups, because it's normally like, okay, you're in year 10 of school. This is the UK school system, by the way, but you know, you don't normally make friends with those below you or above you. It's just, I don't know, it's not really the done thing. That does start to break down for sure when you're at university, because you start to meet people in like years above you and below you. But when you're growing up, like, you tend to just be friends with people your age. And what I'm saying is that age really does not matter. Like, you can literally be friends and the closest of friends with anyone, whether they're older than you, younger than you. You just have to have stuff in common. And I guess the reason why we are normally friends with people who are our age are because we're in the same stage of life. But even that's a generalization, you know. Jess, for example, who traveled with us in Spain, like, Jess has literally just finished school and she's taking a gap year. And sometimes that's kind of crazy, but like, we are so close as friends. Like, myself, Dan and Jess, we get along so well. Like, you shouldn't be like, oh, I can't be friends with them because they're so many years younger than me, or I can't be friends with this person because they're a lot older than me. Age really doesn't matter. Age differences seem to be accentuated, exaggerated, accentuated. Is that a word? Yes, that is the word I'm looking for. Accentuated. Age gaps and age differences are definitely accentuated when you're growing up in school. I realized that because I never had any friends above or below me at all. But yeah, we're gonna move on to romantic relationships, even though I would still say I'm in the process of learning a lot about this, and I've never been in a relationship to this day. See, I don't really know where to start with this, because I've learned quite a lot this year. What did I write down? Where do we start? If you followed the summer of traveling and those videos, you'll know that yes, maybe a lot of this came from that experience I had when I was traveling. But I do just want to say that like, not everything I've learned about romantic relationships has come from that situation, as it were, okay? But this year, from like May onwards, I'm gonna say, I started to learn a lot about this stuff, and yeah, I had like a crash course and I have stuff I want to share. Now for me, I feel like romantic relationships, or like experiencing companionship in that sense, has definitely brought me out of my shell. And I've said this before, that I've always seen myself as quite a cold person, not really open to affection, not really affectionate myself. But yeah, experiencing, you know, an affection for someone, or being cared for in that way, or caring for someone, has made me realize that when you start to experience that, you kind of start to crave it, I'm gonna say, when you don't have it. I genuinely never thought I would sit here and say that. I always thought that I would be very happy on my own, and I can still love my own company for sure. It doesn't change any of that. But once you've experienced that sort of relationship, you start to realize not what you've missed out on at all. I don't regret anything. I've loved being my own self for all of my life, but like, you do realize that there is something else in life that you can have and you can experience, and I think we all should be open to experiencing at the very least. I still don't know what love is. I have never experienced like true romantic love. I've heard from mum recently that, you know, it's a feeling that you can't really describe, you just feel kind of different. But you know, I feel like this year I was like, you know, I hope to one day experience that, and I'm quite excited to know what that feels like for me, because I think it probably feels different for everyone. I'm actually sweating talking about this stuff, okay? I'm not gonna lie. Another big thing for me I've realized is that obviously I've always known that communication in any sort of relationship is so important, but I think especially in these sorts of relationships, and especially at the start, because I've only really been in like the early days, we could say, but communication I think at that point is so vital. And what I'm basically talking about is you need to communicate what you want out of a relationship, whether you're on a dating app or you're not. It's so important to have those conversations and be on the same page about that, because if you both don't know where you're going or what's happening, it's gonna be so confusing. And another thing, like, is if you are confused in a certain situation or a relationship in this sense, then it's probably not a good sign. And then going back to the whole communication thing, you have to have really good communication from the get-go, and you have to know where you stand, where they stand, what page are you both on, where do you want to go in life? Are you looking for a long-term relationship, a short-term thing? Do you just want a hookup or something whilst you're in a new country? I don't know, whatever you want, and that's down to you, but you need to have that conversation and know what you want and what they want. And another thing that I would say is something I heard on a podcast. Now the phrase is, if he wanted to, he would, but I want to kind of just put it out there and be like, okay, if they wanted to, they would. Like, if you really want something to work and you really see a future in a romantic relationship, then you will put the effort in and you will try, and no matter what hurdles or obstacles are placed in front of you, you will do anything to overcome them, okay? And because with these types of relationships, like any relationship, okay, it takes time and your energy, and if you're wasting energy and putting energy into something that's not going to go anywhere and you don't really want to make it happen, then what's kind of the point? Okay, that's why you need to know what you're trying to get out of something. If they wanted to, they would, okay? It's so simple, but it's so true. I've experienced a tiny surface there, okay? Like the creme de la creme of the creme brulee or whatever. I've experienced like a slither, a slice, a teeny inch of this stuff, but I've learned and experienced enough now to know that. And I think off the back of all this, like, when something feels right and you have a good gut feeling about something, like, trust your gut. If you're open to something and it feels right and it's not confusing, you know, things are going well, you're feeling happy, it's kind of, you know, not going too fast or too slow, it just feels kind of right. Ride the wave, okay? Take the opportunity and just run with it. You know, everything in life happens for a reason. It always comes back to this. But genuinely, everything in life really does happen for a reason. I'm gonna briefly talk about work relationships. Who's messaging me? Mom, we have a picture. I should be a good child and answer mom. Oh, she sent me a picture of a tropical rainforest. I work with people who kind of help me with the behind the scenes of my content creation and stuff like that, and it's honestly been one of the most amazing things I have done, and it's like my second family basically. In the past, like with a similar kind of work relationship I've had, in short, it was just not great at all, and it was very much a work relationship, but a relationship that should be professional and kept very professional became like too personal. Yeah, let's just say that this year I've really come to appreciate that you can still have a professional relationship with someone, and then you can have a more personal side to that relationship. But it's like when you are in a meeting, say for example, you're talking about work stuff, it should be kept professional, and then when you're like out of hours, we could say, then it can become more personal. And this year I've just really been able to see that boundary, and when you have that boundary in place and it's preserved, it's like the best form of a work relationship you can have, because you need to have that professionalism. As I said, it's like so important and imperative to have that, but it doesn't mean that you can't have a personal side to that relationship. You just need to have that boundary there. And then now the relationship with my siblings. So I obviously have an older sister and a younger brother, if you didn't know, and my sister and I have always been close, and then my brother and I have been brought really close this year when we went to Thailand together. And when Matthew and I were traveling, like our relationship just like flourished through us just simply being in our own company. Like sometimes we'd just be doing our own thing and we were just bonding by just being with each other. And now we're very, very open with each other, and I'm gonna say with my brother we talk about quite a lot, because I have been so close with Em. Like, I've only really known a really, really strong female sibling relationship, but to have a really, really strong male sibling relationship as well is also so incredibly nice. But one thing I've specifically learned I could say about my relationship with myself and my sister is the fact that I'm gonna say I'm the problem. I'm just gonna throw it out there. Like, I'm not the problem, but I am also the problem. Like, when my sister and I have like a little fallout, because sometimes we do have like little situations that need to be resolved, I am normally the one that doesn't always start it. I'm not saying I'm always in the wrong sort of thing, but I am someone who can blow something out of proportion, I would say. And so that's why I'm gonna say I can sometimes be the problem. And I guess I could just say I still have stuff I can work on and improve in my own self to be even better in all of these relationships. But I don't know, at least I've kind of recognized that. But yeah, I think that is everything I wanted to talk about in terms of what I've learned in 2022 about lots of different relationships. And I think the thing that ties all of these together is that, you know, you should always be yourself. You really just have to stick to who you are. And I mean, sometimes in you being your true self and expressing how you truly feel might at first create a bit of tension, I don't know, or you might have to say certain things that might not sit quite right with people. But at the end of the day, it's you being who you are, and I truly believe that in the long term things will always work out. So I hope this video has been fun to listen to and you've enjoyed it, you've taken something away from it. If you, as always, have anything else to add and share, then feel free to leave that down in the comments below. As I said, this video will go live in the new year, so I hope you enjoyed your new year celebrations and whatever you did, whether you went to bed or you stayed up, I don't know, whatever. Definitely like this video if you did enjoy it. Comment down below, subscribe if you are new, and hit the bell so you know when I upload. And as always, I'll speak to you very soon in another video. Bye! Hello, is my phone buzzing? My phone is buzzing at Uber. Okay, so I have to be cautious of this bit going a bit fly away. Excuse me, hiccuping already. I have transformed myself. Not that I'm a transformer or anything, but whatever. I wasn't actually planning on filming today, and so I didn't like reset my hair. It's kind of a bit frizzy, but we're going with it. I also saw someone yesterday at Winter Wonderland with this hairstyle, and I always forget about this hairstyle, and I was like, oh my gosh, I love that. I need to do that more often. So that's why my hair looks like this today. And yeah, I am wearing my sister's top. Classic. She's not here, so she didn't get to say yes or no, which is maybe wrong of me, but I'm sure it's fine. I'll just tell her that I wore it. It's raining outside, it's kind of a bit dull, but I think the lighting is okay. It just makes me like a little bit moist under the armpits, we could say. But anyway, right, other relationships, yes.